And not just, I'm looking at, it's not just IRT. Don't you think that they should be looking at other agencies, other sub-agencies and groups within the police force?
Definitely, definitely. I think they should. What happened with SARS, we fought hard, and they ended SARS and they redeployed the officers, right? And now we've disbanded the IRT and redeployed the officers. They're still the same people.
But then is it an IRT issue? This is the head of the person who headed that team. I want to believe that we still have some credible police officers. Is it a thing of the IRT, or it's an individual thing on the part of ABBA KYARI?
I think it's a structural and institutional problem, because yes, there are outliers, as we would like to call them, people who are phenomenal officers, and there are quite a number of them. I've had run-ins with police officers who are phenomenal, genuine people, you know, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we have an entire institution wherein corrupt criminal elements within the organization are not effectively brought out. It took the NDLA to be able to expose this man, right? Why wasn't the police internal investigations unit able to...
all the allegations, a lot of them, even during the NSAS program, I remember a particular lawyer, he talked about his client who was pauperized. That was the word he used. A lot of money is taken from him, and then at the end of the day, it seemed that nothing came out of that. What exactly is the problem here? Why couldn't the police, I mean, according to this lawyer Akingbola, he actually made a video, and he said that he wrote to the Inspector General of Police, he wrote to the Commissioner of Police for Lagos, he wrote to the AIG for Zone 2, he wrote to all these people, telling them, informing them of what ABBA KYARI did to his client, and up until now, nothing happened. My question is, why is it that the Nigerian police force cannot thoroughly investigate its own member, and if found culpable, bring them to book? Or is it that the force is such that it is meant to always protect its own member rather than do the needful?
I think it's a bit of both. I think, again, it goes back to this institutional issue that we have. The institution creating an environment in which people like this get away with what they do. And then there's also the fact that a lot of the internal investigation units are underfunded, and they don't get adequate support that they should get. And so that's why criminals are allowed to grow within that environment. It's heartbreaking for the Nigerian people, because where does it lead us to? How can we trust the police? How can we look at them as our saviors when things like this happen? And they're constantly happening. People are making reports. There's a very popular activist on Twitter who's known, for helping out Nigerians.
Segalink?
Yes, Segalink.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody knows Segalink now, right? Now, how many of those, he recovers the money, usually, which is impressive. But then we hear nothing about the criminals involved. We hear nothing about policemen going to jail. Like, how many cases of policemen do you know who have been arrested, tried, and imprisoned for killing, robbing Nigerians?
All right. That also brings me to the fact that, of course, also listening to some top activists and senior advocates talk, said according to reports, none of the NDLA officers that were mentioned that seem to be part of these have been arrested. And I remember last week the NDLA said that they'll make sure that anybody found culpable or perpetrators of this act would be punished. They wouldn't go scot-free. But then that was last week. Now this is this week, and we've not had news of any. We just keep centering around the police force. Don't forget that there's an NDLA a year, and nobody is really talking about the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. They are ruled in this because I'll just keep that. I'll keep that. But what do you think?
I think we have a lot of spokes and mirrors in Nigeria. We like drama.
Okay.
And if you look at previous cases, we've seen it. I mean, we mentioned the former EFCC, but I don't know about you, but I haven't heard much about him.
None.
Yeah, his case just kind of died.
Well, some persons in some quarters are saying that was more like a gang up against him. Like they weren't really able to prove some of those allegations, and there's been that conversation around him also.
Well, if they weren't, it's not about them proving. They should prove before a court, right? It's the court that should decide whether or not you've proved your case. My only fear, and I'll say this now,
okay,
and I hope I don't ever have to revisit this video and say I told you, is that we'll dance around ABBA KYARI for a while, a little bit of drama,
please
a little bit of this,
please don't,
and then
no.
give it a month or two. Eventually, his name will just fall
and something else
away.
comes up to take up that.
I fear that. I fear that. I do not hope that happens.
Election coming up next
Oh
year.
yeah,
So
I don't
Give
hope
your
that
understanding.
happens.
all right, now the problem has been, I also hope I don't have to revisit this video now.
No.
The problem has been, it's been said that this is a problem. The police force these, the NDA these, there's need for reform, the need for to bring out to bring up some corrupt practices that are in the systems. Now I am mostly bothered about the eyes of the look Nigeria has now in the international eyes. How can we salvage the situation? How can we redeem our name? Because whether we like it or yes, there are still, like you said, there are still really credible police officers, credible drug law enforcement agency officers, credible Nigerians. I am one of them anyway. I'm sure you are one of them too.
Me too.
But then, how can we salvage the situation and redeem our names in the eyes of the international community? Because it's really important for our growth, economy, what have you. So
I think if justice is seen to be done, that would be a step in the right direction. If the whole world can see that we don't joke with this and we take the all these criminal elements very seriously and they are punished to the fullest extent of the law, that would be good. If we extradited him to face trial in the US, again, that would be good. But let's see. I'm trying not to lose hope.
No, I'm thinking that it's not even my place to think. Well, it's still under the jurisdiction, just like Fem Falana has said, of the powers that are responsible for that. But then with the kind of justice system we have, justice, the judiciary is supposed to be the hope of the I want to use the word common man, but then really it's the hope of the people. So if the people now have lost hope in the judicial system, what then is the hope of the common man? And that's a rhetorical question. People should sit down and think and ask themselves, if this is supposed to be my hope and then I'm losing hope in this thing, then what is my hope? So looking at the US system of justice, for justice to be melted out in its full course, I'm even thinking that the US it's a better option than Nigeria.
Yes, I think it is. But
we know there is a case here he also has to answer.
And
so we may not, is it possible to extradite him now when there is a case here which is not related to the one over there?
Yeah.
Yes, he hasn't officially been charged to court yet.
Okay.
So, let's see. He's not yet answering his case in Nigeria. And I would, although we haven't gone towards it, the suit against the federal government for his continued detention, as much as I'm repulsed and despise criminal elements within our society, I also respect the fact that the law is supreme. Now, if the law stipulates that you must press somebody to court or issue them bail, we must do that.
So that means you're making a comment on the fact that he dragged the federal government to court over his continued detention?
Yes, I think...
Okay, so what's your thoughts? I think you started that already. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if it's illegal, it's illegal.
Okay.
We cannot justify injustice because the person we're doing it against is a criminal.
Okay.
Yeah, justice must be blind. We have to
alleged
be fair.
Criminal, remember he hasn't been...
Yes, alleged criminal. And that's the important part, because despite everything that you say or we've said here, or the video evidence, until a court says he is guilty, he is perceived innocent. And that is a fundamental part of the law. Because what we often overlook as a society is that if I open the door for the legal persecution of somebody who I deem to be the enemy of the state, that's just it. I deem them to be the enemy of the state.
All right, Dakwa, can you please wrap up in 30 seconds?
Okay,
we don't have enough time. All right, just
what you're saying is very important.
In terms of, we can't open the door for illegal detention, because at some point it will be an innocent person that's caught in that net. So he should be tried to court like every other Nigerian, and he should also, I believe, in the best interest, be extradited so that he can go face proper trial somewhere else and we can move on.
Pick up in the best interest. I like the fact that you said that. Thank you so much, Dapo, for sharing your thoughts on this conversation. We hope that justice takes its full course, and I'm sure the judicial system is credible enough. Amen, he said. All right, that was Dapo Adamewa. I'm very careful with the names, right? All right, we'll take a very short break right now. Sport is standing by. You lovers of sport, please go nowhere. We'll be right back.